I'll say this, in the South, especially where I came from, if you're white and you get into the prison system there, you got 3 choices, and this is what they tell you, fuck, fight, or bust a 60. And that means I grew up in the South. I grew up, I'll say, medium to dirt poor. I lived in a lot of trailer parks with my mom and my dad. My grandparents, my grandpa was a war hero from World War II, and my dad was a Vietnam vet. And when I was young, he was hooked on heroin. So that was pretty much my life. Whenever I was a kid, we'd be living with my grandparents, and then going to stay here and there and stuff like that. And when I was 6 years old, my dad took us to an apartment complex, me and my younger brother, he was 4. And my dad was a couple buildings over, I suppose, shooting up heroin. And my brother and I were in the parking lot playing, and my brother climbed up a pole next to the laundromat, and he started to fall. And when he started to fall, I stepped on a nail, and it went through my foot, and I screamed, and I saw a big flash of light, and I looked up, and I saw my brother grabbing something and getting shot, way off the pole, man. And it was a big light, and it was he caught on fire, and he got electrocuted, and he fucking hit the dirt, and and it was just wild. He had smoke coming out of his eyes, and he had a football jersey on, so went in through his hands and through his heart, and it blew out his stomach. So I remember he had smoke coming out of his stomach, and it's melted and shit, and it was a brief glimpse of it, but I was like, fuck, I took off trying to find my dad. And I came back. When I did find my dad, it took me a few minutes, and when we came back, everybody, a bunch of junkies came running and shit. And some Spanish dude had my brother on the back of the car giving him CPR, and my brother was all burnt up and fucking dead. And they just kept giving CPR. The ambulance came. Believe it or not, the town where I come from at the time is so fucked up that they arrested the guy that saved my brother for being a fucking illegal. So that was what I do remember about that day. And they rushed my brother to the hospital. My brother, I guess I could say it right now, is my hero. He is the strongest guy I know, and he's the best human being. And he is who I want to emulate a lot in life, because he's such an honest dude. He's never fucked nobody over, and he's always had, life going against him and shit. And
so he survived?
He is alive, yeah. He did survive, yeah. He actually survived. He had to get a bunch of surgeries. He had to have fingers amputated. And every summer of our life growing up, he would get surgeries, because as a kid, your hands grow every year. And he had thousands of pins in his hands and shit where he grabbed and so he was always getting his hands rebuilt and reconstructed and this and that. And he was crazy too as a kid. He would fucking beat people up. He's nuts. We come from a hard neighborhood, and you had to be tough, and you definitely had to fight a lot where I came from. And I'm pretty small. I got the shit kicked out of me a lot. Me and my brother made friends with some old Vietnam vet when we were young, and I started learning martial arts, and I started learning how to make fucking weapons and napalm and all kinds of fucking shit. And I didn't care after that, because if anybody fucked with me, I would get out there and get the ass whooping. But if it was too bad of one, you better watch the fuck out, because I will come back and fuck you up when you're not ready for it. And that was something I was known for when I was a kid. So, but I would pick up something and whop you with it, no problem. I didn't have no problem doing it, and I learned all kinds of badass moves as the years went by doing martial arts. So, I'll say I had the equivalent. I probably have 2 or 3 black belts in a couple of different things. American Kempo is what the guy that trained me was a master at, and Taekwondo. And I've taken Jeet Kune Do as well, but those things don't really do anything for you in real life. I figured that out down the road. So anyhow, me and my brother grew up. Yeah, man, it was rough. After that, the life got really hard, because there are a lot of lawyers got involved, and my dad and my mom. My dad, we moved in with my grandparents, and my mom was, the evil, the worst of the worst, according to them, because there's a lot of fucking money involved now. there's a big lawsuit gonna come for sure. You know, like this is a big fucked up thing that happened. A little girl got electrocuted at the same apartments a couple weeks. So all these ambulance chasers are there talking to my families and shit. Now it's like my whole dad's side of the family is against my mom. You know, my mom is reckless and fucking young and likes to party and fucking comes around when she wants to and mostly don't at the time, you know, when she was younger and shit. So, you know, but as a couple years went by, you know, my mom started coming. She would get us in the summer times and shit. And it started, whenever money got involved, she started showing up. It's just a fucking fact of it, you know. She started showing up. And she had lawyers too now, so fucking, there you go. So that was pretty much it. Now, what sucked is I looked just like my fucking mother. And exactly like her. And so, to my family, I was evil. I was just like her. And I didn't have no money. And they treated my brother so special and different. And, you know, I got the short end of the stick a lot. Now, that being said, you know, none of that goes towards my brother because that motherfucker is ride or die for me, dude. So, you know, it didn't change our dynamic, but it changed the way that I grew up and the way that I felt and stuff, you know? And I don't know, man, me and my brother, we trucked on through life, dude. We fucking excelled in school and made straight A's. He did great. And as we started getting a little older, I started staying away from home a lot because my family didn't give a fuck about me, to be honest with you. And when I was at, 11, 12 years old, I would say I'm spending the night with my friends, even though I didn't have no friends to spend the night with. And I would go and sleep on like the roof at the fucking park or the pavilion and shit like that. And I started getting to be, a solitary being in my mind and in my thinking and shit. I started doing a lot of stuff on my own and being sneaky and having a lot of secrets and shit. And, and not being a great person because my mom lied a lot and I took after her. I learned that habit growing up. It was ugly, but I hate to say it now, but it is true, And I hated, that connotation to being a liar because I was my mom's son. But I lived up to it a lot, with my family especially because I was like, fuck them, I didn't feel like they cared about me a lot. And I felt love, believe that, but I just felt a lot of disdain from them and shit. So I think that shaped a lot of who I was, coming to be. And then when we got a little older, my mom started actually taking us and we went to go live with my mom for a year, Let me tell you what, man, I probably was 13 or 14 and my brother was 12-ish or whatever. And man, my stepdad was a truck driver, and my mom she never stayed home. She went out partying all the time. Me and my brother did whatever the fuck we wanted and shit. And I smoked weed in the house, she bought me cigarettes, and like, that was kind of the relationship that we had, My dad and I, at this point in time, I would go over there to his house and chill and smoke weed with him. My dad, he taught me how to roll a joint when I was 5 years old with the rolling machine. And he did that so he could like show off to his friends, because my dad, he was a real stoner or whatever. So I would go get high with my dad and chill and stuff like that, but I didn't live there with them and that family didn't, really give a fuck. So it wasn't a big deal that I wasn't there. We're living with my mom. My mom's so reckless and fucking irresponsible though, It's like madness living there, always chaos, dude. She takes a lot of pills, drinks a lot. It's fucking, it's a wreck, And me and my brother do what we want again. So, and that's not good for kids to have no adult attention at all. Well, my brother and I, we went out one day and we were doing something and we ran around with all the kids in the apartment complex, just a whole fucking band of different age ragamuffin, kids that run around stealing their parents' weed and getting in trouble. And we were at the game room one night and we came back like 11 o'clock or something. And we got to the house, the front door was locked. And all of our friends that are out there with us, we're all trying to get inside my house and go into my room and smoke some weed and drink some soda or something. And the door's locked and that's weird, it won't open. My brother tries the key and the chain's on. So we see some guy in there and I'm like, who the fuck is that? The guy comes and tries to push the door shut, A friend of mine, a big kid, like 16 years old, kicks the door in, and we all run inside. The guy in the front room starts trying to like attack us and shit, so all of us jump on him and slam him. We go back down the hall to the bedroom, and my mom is just bloody and naked, and there's a guy passed out over here. There's syringes with bleach on the floor that he shot her up with. And so my brother fucking hit him in the head with a hammer, and we grabbed them all out. We took the guy that was up front out into the parking lot, and we ran him over with our car. We put him in the dumpster, and fucking cops came, and big old show. They got the guy out of the house, they beat the shit out of him, and sent my mom in an ambulance, and got the guy out of the dumpster, put him in the fucking back of a fucking ambulance, and that was all I remember about that night. I don't remember much about the next few days after or whatever. We went with my dad, and we came back to my mom's like a week later, and fucking my mom, the act of violence that happened that day, I think that, you know, my brother just smashing someone's head in with a hammer at that age, it really, like, it did something to him, man. And my mom wouldn't even acknowledge it, that it happened.
Nobody got caught?
Well, the small town cops took the guys away. You know, I have no idea what happened. I don't know. They came and got him. Yeah, the guy in the dumpster, dude.
But your brother didn't get in trouble?
No, the cops just left with the guys and called my dad to pick us up, you know? And none of us got in trouble. There was like 10 or 15 kids that are fucking smashing these guys. And we're like, really, we're not beating them up like children. We're hurting them, you know? Like, they're both wasted.
How old were you guys?
I was probably 14. I think my brother was 12, you know? I'm sure the guy outside, we ran him over with the car, like literally, and put him in the dumpster. The cops scooped him out. When they got there, like the cops knew what was happening. They had to get my mom. My mom was naked in there, bloody. They raped her, you know? And the fact that my mom came back, you know, after that and never talked about it and wouldn't acknowledge that it happened, you know? And like, because she did that, I think it just, that shattered my brother, you know, like in a lot of ways. I think, I don't know. I think it made me a lot stronger, like everything else in my life did, just for being a human being that can take a lot of damage, you know, inside or what. But so yeah, so that was how that kind of went. Then so here you go with the cycle starting. I fucking go to juvenile the next year for drugs at school or some shit. My brother goes to juvenile the next year for stealing a Coca-Cola truck or something. And man, I go off to the state fucking juvenile prisons, you know. My brother has money, so they send him off to boarding school, you know, in fucking the mountains. And he's with a lot of rich, famous fucking kids and shit. And so nowadays, I'll just fast forward a bit, because now there's all kinds of movies and videos about the school he went to and how they damaged the fucking kids, how they did all this shit to him. It's called Camp Hell. It's like, fucking A, man. So that's what he was living through while I was over here living through this, but we weren't together anymore. And it was hard because he was my, you know, I took care of him since we were kids. Like, we were always together, and he's my best friend. So that was rough getting to that part of it. But, you know, as it went on, I came home from that shit. And where we live at, it's just, at the time, it was, everybody was a meth, machine guns, and, you know, gangs. If you come from where I come from and you go to prison, you're gonna be in a gang. I come from the South, and the gangs run the prisons there. So the neighborhoods and the trailer parks where I grew up in were full of guys getting out of prison all the fucking time, you know? And so that was the culture. There's huge biker gang that was close by where we were at. And, you know, you would see hundreds of their bikes parked in the neighborhood every weekend when they had church or whatever at their clubhouse. So everybody respected them, and everybody respected the gangsters and shit. I personally felt, my dad gave me the Lord of the Rings when I was 8 years old, and I started reading fantasy novels and stuff. And I am such a dreamer, and I have visions like beyond anything that anybody I ever grew up around could fathom. So I did not want to be there. And so I decided I was going to join the Navy when I got out of school, and I did. And so I went off to the Navy, and I was there for a few years, man. I ain't got a lot to say about my time in the Navy. I gotta tell you that, dude. You know, I think I did very well for what I was handed in my life, and I did better than I could ever expected in the military. I ended up going into as a Navy medic, and I switched over to an X-ray tech, and I got attached to a bomb squad after that, and I didn't see much action at all. It was pretty much a dead issue after that. It was during the first Gulf War, and so yeah, went over to go over there on a ship, and we crashed into the side of another ship on the way over there, and it started filling up with water. That was scary. Other than that, man, the military didn't. I ain't got a lot to say about it. I didn't learn a lot in there. I don't feel like it shaped me a lot, except the fact that it got me into such a structure that it helped me later to become institutionalized. So thank you for that, Uncle Sam. So yeah, I got organized, I got OCD down and shit like that, but the military wasn't for me. I got out of there and I went home a wreck, and everything was middle to A-okay. The thing is, I went back to where I came from, you know. But at this time, I can tattoo and shit, so I'm tattooing at a tattoo shop, hanging out with my homeboys that I grew up with, and, you know, like, everything is good, man. My homeboys sell dope out in front of the shop, pay tax every night, like, everything is A-okay. I'm not a fucking criminal myself. I'm not selling dope or any of that shit. I'm just living in this ecosystem of where I came from, and I'm doing okay in it, you know. Well, then my wife, she left, and she went to go get some stuff from the store. She didn't come back, and she got carjacked, and she got raped, and she got tossed in a ditch. And the next morning, you know, my dad came, and he talked to me and told me and shit. And that was something I had to deal with. And so they get these guys, they lock them all up. And
your wife survived?
My wife survived? No, she didn't. She stayed in a coma for about 2 weeks, and then we pulled the plug on her because when she opened up her eyes, she was brain dead, you know, and it was just, you know, I don't know. She was 19 years old, man, and that's sad, dude, you know. And I'm like 23 at the time, you know. Yeah, man. So it's like at that point in time, I gotta tell you, I just I filled up with sadness, and then it all turned to rage, and then I just got blinded by fucking hate and figuring out how I'm gonna get revenge on these fucking people, because I surely am. I feel so helpless. I felt like such a failure in a lot of ways in life. I got, you know, something that I tell this story not a lot, but when I do tell it, something I always do leave out is that my wife and I were in a fight when she left, you know, because she had cheated on me whenever I was gone away. And I won't say cheated because I wasn't around. So it wasn't really that she did, because she didn't. But I was sour about it, man. And we were arguing and shit when she left, you know. And it wasn't anything that wasn't going to get worked out. But it's just the fact that it wasn't the best moment to be the last time you see someone. So, yeah. So I swallowed that shit down and started figuring out what I'm gonna do. You know, they let 2 of these jokers go home and then get back locked up, and then they got them all, and then they're all in prison, you know. I went and kicked down the door of the house where they live and zip-tied everybody and fucking just waited so I could just kill these people. And it didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. So I ended up being on the run for kidnapping, for fucking robbery. And at that point in time, I just said, fuck it. I got 2 guns. I robbed a bank. I robbed stores. I robbed dope houses. And I started shooting up drugs. The first time I ever done that, first time I ever done hard drugs. And I went for the needle. I went fucking shot meth, heroin, coke, acid, whatever. For like the next 3-4 months, I went on a crime spree. And I robbed a lot of shit, and I fucked a lot of people up. And, you know, I was just building, you know, for the next part. And I got busted. I got busted and I got locked up. I got a measly ass 6-year sentence for the robbery, and everything else was under investigation and review at that time. So I figured I had a lot more charges coming, you know, but partway into my sentence, I'll say this, in the South, especially where I came from, if you're white and you get into the prison system there, you got 3 choices, and this is what they tell you, you know, fuck, fight, or bust a 60. And that means go get your $60 in commissary and pay it, protection. So when I first got there, I'm like, holy fuck. And I drive up to one of the largest prison units in the state I'm in, and I see a guy that I know in the day room, and he's bloody as fuck, man. And he's like, what are you gonna do? You know, fuck, fight, or bust a 60? And I'm like, well, I'm gonna fight, man. I mean, yeah. He's like, well, get your shit and come in here, because it's about to go down. And I went in there, man, and I got my ass kicked all day long that day. I don't know how many times I fought. He just told me, he said, look, dude, just keep going, and I'm not gonna let 2 people jump on you, but if somebody calls you out, you got to get up and fight. Because if you don't, you're going to the other category, you know, and you're gonna be, you know, somebody's property. And I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, no, you're not, dude. I know you, bro, you know? And I'm like looking at this guy, and he's like, don't you remember me? And I'm like, no, I fucking don't. And what turns out, this is a guy I played baseball with when I was like 9 years old, dude. And he's big, like 260, fucking jacked up, fucking big. And I'm like, this guy's bloodied up in here. I'm scared, man, you know? And that started off a lot of years of getting the shit kicked out of me, a couple of them. I didn't even win a fight for like 2 years, at least, you know, but I fought a lot. I never didn't answer the bell, put it that way. I like to fight, always loved to fight, still love fighting, don't want to get hit anymore. But at that time, I was like, fuck it, I don't care. I'm going to embrace this shit, man. And in there, you know what you do? You exercise all day, every fucking day, you know? And more opportunities started coming up now, you know? And I started seeing opportunities to get into the gang, you know? And so it's like this, man. In the prison I was in, blacks and whites don't even talk to each other. We have nothing to fucking say. We don't eat together. You don't sit together. You don't fucking smoke together. You don't do shit. And when the time's right, you get busy. And, you know, and then everything's cool for a while, you know? And then when it's not right, you get busy again. You get it? And so I was in a lot of race riots and a lot of shit, all kinds of shit, man. Mostly getting jumped on by a bunch of people because we were such a minority in there at the time, you know? But yeah, man, I started figuring it out. I started figuring out how to fight. But I also started figuring out that a lot of these guys are talk. You know what I mean? They're serious business, you know, and they're killers and shit. But I just think that these guys aren't thinking on my level and my brain. I think they're a lot of them are dumb, and I wouldn't follow them to the fucking beer store, and I know what the fuck I'm doing taking orders from them in this place, you know? And I just kept on going with it, man. Opportunity came up for me to get in, and so I earned my patch, man. And you know, once I did, once I got into the gang, I started really seeing like the behind the scenes stuff, and I fucking loved that shit, dude. I fucking loved it. I'm so ADD. My brain works on so many fucking levels. It's like you're just thinking and moving pieces and da da da. And I don't know, man. I loved all the hustling. I loved making money. I loved every single thing about what was happening in there, and I embraced it. And I said this, like, fuck this. If I'm gonna be anything, I'm gonna be the best at this shit, because I don't feel like these guys are making it like there's so much stuff we could be doing. You could be doing all kinds of shit. So I just started thinking of ways to network. Man, listen, I'm not at the time, you know, I'm not a fucking racist and all that shit. It's not the first thing on my mind. It's like, it's the product of where we live, and this is how we live. But my mind, I'm thinking about making fucking money for this gang, and like, cause that's all you're really caring about.
This is the Aryan Brotherhood?
It is one of them, yeah. You know, so yeah. Yeah, you know.
Which is big in prison.
Yeah, and it is huge in prison, you know. I mean, it is, if you're gonna be in any gang, it's the #1 gang, you know. But, and I'll say this, man, listen, the guys in there, they live it, they love it, and they believe in it, and they go hard for it, and you know, you gotta respect that, you know, in a lot of fucking ways. I do. I do. I will not take nothing from any one of those guys. I think the fact is that all gangs are bullshit, period. You know, and I'll tell you plenty of fucking reasons about that. But in my case, I'll tell you all about why my shit's fucked up, because it's bogus, you know? And it's only bogus because, you know, the whole idea of that, of being in there is looking out for each other. You know, we're supposed to stick together, we're all white, and this and that. And that's fine. I have murder cases, okay? And you know what they're for? For killing other white guys, for killing ex-members of my own gang. You know, every fucking one of them. Don't have a single murder case for a black guy, a Hispanic, a Chinese, or anything. So what kind of white supremacy is that? That's what I couldn't figure out. Why are we always doing this damage to our own fucking people? Like, do we really have that many pieces of shit? You know what I mean? So, I stop, fuck, man. But that being said, though, dude, cool, I embraced it. The unit where I was at, the guy that was running the show was weak. I thought he was weak. He fucking showed it to me more than once. And I was like, man, this ain't right. He's gonna get us all killed, in a lot of trouble. And that's when I started figuring out gang politicking. Let me tell you about that shit. Politicking in fucking gangs, especially this one, is a huge thing, man. Guys are always trying to get a leg up and cross each other out. You know what I mean? So this way, this guy was weak, you know what I mean? And I just exposed him and crossed him out and took his spot. And that was it. They whacked him. They busted his brains out and left him out there, and fucking A, we moved on. And that's when I became the captain of that unit. And
what was your role in that murder?
I had no role in that murder. He wasn't with me. He was over on another. They moved him to another prison after we exposed him. They shipped him out, and they put a hit on him and they killed him. You know, that's because that's what happens.
And you moved into his slot?
I did. I moved into his slot. I was not because of any reason at all, except that I was in touch with the guy that he was in touch with that was running the show. Thing is, you take fucking orders from people out there that you never meet. For years, man. You know, fucking for years. You got these dudes are calling the shots, nameless people calling shots. So yeah, so they killed him. They killed him over another unit. They choked him to death, and that was that. Well, once I got into that role, I started seeing, like, you know, my God, dude, it's like fucking A. It's always something, man. You know, it's always something. There's this guy's complaining about this guy's complaining about that. But constantly, we have to stay ready. You can't get ready. You have to stay ready. So we constantly are exercising. We're making knives. We're setting up shit, you know, and it's what you need to do in there. You have to constantly be thinking. Now, during this time that all this is happening, I'm on the line and I'm on the yard putting in work.
What's the ratio of black to white?
Well, I'll put it this way. There was about 15 of white guys on a wing of about 250 people. And about 3 of those were AB. And the rest of those guys were somewhere in the middle or something, you know. Everybody can't, they don't take just anybody, you know. A lot of guys try, and you can't get in there. A lot of guys just aren't material. But it doesn't mean that they're, you know, that they're bitches. They're not. They'll still kill you. They just ain't in a gang and ain't material. If they could be, I think most of them would have been. But yeah, so the ratio is horrible. It was crazy, dude. I can't tell you how many times I've fucking gone to the showers to get in the shower. What sucks is over there, they put everybody in one room about this big, right? Lock the doors. Everybody gets butt naked. Then they unlock the next door and you go into the fucking shower part, right? Now that part's dangerous. Now, you always have somebody going with you over there because somebody gonna be holding a knife inside the washcloth while you scrub up and shower up, because the showers on that unit, fuckers get beat up, raped, all kinds of shit in those showers, killed a lot. So once you go through that part, then they rush you into another part. Well, the problem is when you go in the first part, it's just you and your shower buddy and about 100 dudes. So you're really fucking outnumbered in there. Dude, in that room, I've been hit in the head with the fucking bottom of a broom, a dustpan. I've been fucking jumped on in that room several times. And I'll tell you this, you never fight harder than you do when you're butt fucking naked. It's scary as fuck. But I'll tell you this, you don't fight harder than when you're butt ass naked, man. I'll tell you, it brings out some kind of fucking superpower in your ass. So yeah, dude, so life was crazy, dude. Prison was fucking nuts, man. I seen so much shit. And yeah, it was constant. But at the time, man, we weren't at war with anybody. Okay, we did run all the yards everywhere I was at, and with style, I'll say that. And but we weren't at war with anybody, you know. Well, one day I'll tell you. Okay, so here's what it is. One day, I'm on a wing with some other white guys, right? And I don't have any of my bros on this wing, but there are another gang over there, a couple of guys from a couple of different gangs, right? White guys, and a couple of just skinhead dudes that are just solo, you know, just woods and stuff. And but two of the guys from the other gang are like, "Hey, man, you want to go smoke this joint, go to chow and shit?" And I'm like, "Well, fuck yeah, of course, always. This is what we do." So we go to smoke the joint, and we smoke the joint in the day room. We leave. We go out, and they put you in this hallway with 2 crash gates. They fucking open up one gate and let you into that hallway, and they shut it and lock it. And then you go all the way down the hall, and then they fucking buzz open another one, you know? And so you're stuck in there, inside those 2 doors. Well, usually it's a lot of people who get stuck in those doors, right? Well, today we're running late because we smoked a joint. So we go through the crash gates, and it's just me and the 2 guys, okay? The guy behind me is about 6'6", okay? And they call him Tree. This motherfucker, dude, has hands like lunchboxes. The guy in front of me is a little bigger than me. Well, we're walking down the hall, and all of a sudden, I just feel something fucking hit me hard in the back of the head, about right here. And I start falling forward, and the guy in front of me turns around and stabs me. Well, this guy hit me, this big motherfucker hit me with a fan motor in the back of the head with the inside a pillowcase. And while I was falling forward, the guy in front of me stabbed me with a fucking ice pick, like a real one. And it went bing, right fucking here, straight down, shattered everything, stuck in my face, covering this fucking eye. So I just start fighting with these dudes, man. They shoot gas in there on us. I'm fighting for my fucking life, dude. And they fucking just tried to fucking wax me, man. And again, fighting hard as a motherfucker with a fucking ice pick in my face. Scared to death. But anyhow, I did it. Cops came in, got us out. Man, one guy had to stand on my head while the other one got a fucking pair of pliers because it bent when it went in, of course. And so I had to pull it out of my face. And that started off some shit. Then I had to get reconstruction surgery. Fucking knocked this out. My jaw's wired shut. Fucked up and severely. But they take us all to solitary and put us all right next to each other. They put those 2 guys at the end, and they put me down at the front. You know? So for 3 days, my face is all fucked up. For 3 days, nobody's coming out. They ask you if you want shower every other day, you know? And because you can't get anything else. Well, for 3 days, no one's coming out. You know, no one's coming out. And then all of a sudden, I guess they think that I'm scared, you know? They start coming out, and the cops handcuff them and bring them down the tier in front of my cell. And same thing with me. They'll handcuff me and take me out to the shower. Well, I'm like, fuck, man. They start blowing me kisses. They think I'm scared of coming out. But really, man, I'm just waiting for my homeboy to send me a knife. I got the knife, and I said, fuck it. I'm gonna fucking pop this door. So the door's bars. I fucking twist up the sheet, tie it to the bar, drop it over the back of the fucking bunk, tie it to a boot, and start cranking it. Pow! Pop the bottom of the door. Now I can open this motherfucker and slide out of it, and nobody knows, you know? So now I'm waiting on this motherfucker to come back onto the tier, and I'm watching, I'm waiting. I got a sock full of dominoes. I'm gonna hit the cop with it. I got a fucking knife on a string right here. I'm gonna stab the dude with the knife, you know? Dude, they get halfway down the tier. I'm watching them, and I said, fucking, I'm going. I go out. I start running towards them. The cop fucking is like, oh my God, dude. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm just gonna hit him with these dominoes to get him out of the fucking way. He dives off a 2-row. He does not want nothing to do with that. He hits the floor. The guy starts stumbling backwards. He falls. I fucking smashed his fucking head with those dominoes into nothing. His face was flat as fuck, dude. And that got me scooped up and they really locked me down then. So then I get sent to the SHU program, and man, let me tell you what, dude, a whole nother fucking world right there. It's chaos and madness back there, but it's still gang life all day, every day, you know? And they have levels over there. Level 3, you don't get shit. You get some powder. They tell you to fucking brush your teeth and use it for fucking, deodorant, And then after that, it's like level 2, you get some legal shit. Level 1, you get all your property. Well, I get down there and man, I'll tell you, dude, at first I'm doing okay. And then the cops down there, they don't really fuck with you. But man, dude, all of a sudden they get these rednecks down there. They are haters. They don't like any of us, number one. And a cop jacks me for my tray one day. And I'm like, man, dude, he comes back. I'm like, hey, where's my tray? No, he's not giving it to you. In there, that's a big deal. Whatever. So he just jacks me for it. He's not gonna give it to me. About a week later, he comes back and he forgets all about it. He's like lazy and doesn't want to do shit. So he's like, hey man, you gonna go to your cell? I'm gonna open this door. And I'm like, sure. Like he's about to open the door with no handcuffs on. Go ahead. And I guess he wasn't thinking. He did. He opened it and I beat the fucking snot out of him and I handcuffed him. I got his fucking baton and I drug him in my cell. And I was excited. I was about to fucking smash this guy. And they started popping the lock out there. And I'm like, oh shit, the cops are coming in. I run out there. This motherfucker shuts the door with his foot. So now I'm in the tier with the baton. Fucking, he's inside, handcuffed in my cell, laughing at me. And they just fucking cops come in and gas me, beat the shit out of me, and call it a day. So, yeah. Went on level 3 for 4 or 5 years almost, man. And once I got on level 3, I don't know. Level 3 is another world. But they did lock me up with nothing but my homeboys who are down there. There's plenty of them. And I was doing okay. There's one guy down there that got underneath me. And he was like an ex from someone else. And we told him he had to leave. And he didn't want to leave, So we told him he can't stay over here with us anymore. He said he's not gonna. And I was like, man, I'm gonna get this guy. But he never comes out of the fucking cell. So it's like, man, I don't know. I'm just thinking. One day I go out to the yard and there's the drain cover. When you go to the yard, let me tell you this. When you're in the chute and you go to the yard in high security or Supermax, you check everything right away. You check all the fucking screws. You make sure, check and see if there's any loose metal. You know what I mean? Because this is treasure, gold and shit. And when I hit the drain cover, man, let me tell you what, it moved. And I was like, fuck, this thing's huge, dude. Like this big and fucking heavy. I don't know if it's not cast iron, it's stainless steel or something. And I'm like, man.
It's a weapon.
If I could get it inside, like what the hell? I could make all kinds of weapons. I'm like, fuck, man. Well, I do wrap it up in my jumpsuit. I'm put under my arm. The cops come. I'm like, put my hands out, and it's like a cool cop. And he's like, nah, it's cool. Come on, man. He just pops the door, which is the norm for a lot of cops, just so you know. They're lazy and they don't want to do their job. So he lets me go up to my cell with it. And I'm like, cool, man. I fucking cover up my door with the towel. And I'm like, damn, I got this thing. What am I going to do? And I drop it. And it hits the fucking floor. And when it does, it chips a little piece of concrete out. And the guy that I really want to get at is underneath me. And he yells up at me and goes like, go ahead and beat that floor all you want. I don't care. I'm not leaving. And so I'm like, Because a lot of guys will do that. They'll just beat your wall for a month, to make you crazy. I mean, and back there in solitary, man, I was there 11 and a half years. Fuck that, dude. It's wild. Well, anyway, it fucking chipped the fucking a hole out of the floor. And I was like, oh man, I was like, fuck no, this cannot be happening. I started beating it. I started going to fucking work. I'll tell you what, man, I started getting chunks of concrete out of this fucking thing. And I'm like, fuck it, I break them up, flush them down the toilet. Dude, I'm starting to get a hold. They come around for count. Dude, the cops in this place, all the beating and shit is not gonna even draw attention because there's so many people on psych meds everywhere kicking and cutting and that they don't pay attention to shit. And so I'm just beating this fucking thing. Then I sent my homeboy a kite and I said, hey man, I'm beating a hole in this floor, dude. He's like, fuck no. I'm like, dude, yes I am. I'm fucking gonna go down here and get this dude. And dude, I went on a fucking campaign. Let me tell you what, dude. I was ready when the cops came with it covered with a blanket, you know what I mean? And I'd just be in there, act like I'm butt naked, washing off in the sink, and they don't even want to look. They just keep going. I'm like, fuck yeah, cover it up. Get back to my hole. Man, it took me a week to beat this hole in the floor, and I did. And the last day and a half, I had like a gram of meth. I fucking put it in my coffee. I drank it. I said, if I'm gonna make the final push, and I'm gonna go down here, I got a knife. It ain't great, but it's okay. But the guys, I'm like 30 years old at the time, dude. I'm like, this guy's 53. Like my age now, fuck. And you know what, man? when I first got the first hole, it started going down. Like the little dirt started falling, and I looked down and I could see his fucking eyeball. And his eyeball went like this. Whoop! It got big. He got scared. And I was like, oh shit, I'm doing this. I started beating. Man, dude, I beat a good hole in that floor. I just went to work and he's screaming like, help. And my homeboys are up there beating the doors. And, you know, cops come on the speaker. What do y'all want? And they're like, fuck you, fucking pigs. And the cops are like, no, fuck y'all. Y'all ain't getting shit today. Turn off the speaker. Don't even answer it after that. You know what I mean? So now I'm going at it, dude. I beat this fucking hole in the floor, and I'm like, oh yeah, your mom's talking shit to him too. And I'm like, dude, I'm fucking coming down there, motherfucker. And I'm so confident, dude. I got this under control, dude. By this time, dude, all I ever been doing is exercising for fucking years. I'm fucking ready to go. Dude, let me tell you what. I fucking beat rebar out of the place. I did everything. I dropped down in that fucking cell with that dude, and he was ready, and I grabbed him with this arm, and I stabbed him so fucking hard, and he went, ugh! And I just started stabbing the fuck out of him, going in a circle, like whipping a fucking kid, just, eh. Man, dude, he's so, it ain't like doing shit. There's no blood, you know? The first fucking time I stabbed him, hit the bone, bent the knife. Now it's just doing nothing, just fucking poking him really hard. And I'm like, I'm trying to figure out why he's not bleeding. I'm really putting on my effort. And I gassed out, dude. I've been awake for days, and I just had nothing. And he just went, bam, boom, fucking knocked me down, got the knife. Now we're really fighting for this fucking knife, dude. Let me tell you what, man, goddamn, dude. We fought for a while for the knife, dude. And we finally ended up, the knife goes under the bed. I get him by the throat, he gets me by the nuts. And I'm on top of him, and he's got my balls, dude, and I'm choking this motherfucker. I try to just choke him hard enough to choke him out. If I could just choke him out, and I can do this thing, you know? Well, this motherfucker, every time I start choking hard, he starts squeezing my balls, and I'm gonna tell you what, anybody that's watching this that don't have balls, you don't want your fucking balls squeezed ever, and you know, at all, and especially by somebody that is fucking mad and trying to do you damage. So it hurt, and we ended up that way, fighting for a few hours. Okay, there's not another count time coming until the morning, so we got time, but we're locked in a fucking death grip down there. And I'm like, man, but it's all mental now, because I'm telling him, I'm gonna kill you. I'm fucking going, you got me fucked up, dude. I came down here, I beat a hole in this floor. I'm just telling him, and he's like literally trying to be so reasonable and shit, and just like, no, dude, don't do this, whatever. So I'm like, fuck it, man. Dude, I'll say this, 4 hours went by, okay? And I'm like, dude, you know what? This ain't gonna happen, man. I was like, but now I gotta ask this motherfucker to help me get out of the hole, because it's so high up in the air. You know, the ceiling's a 12-foot ceiling. So sure enough, I want to get out of this cell now. And he wants me out for sure. And now I got to tell him to help me get out, you know? Fuck me, dude. I'm like, dude, I'm going to let go. Come on, just push me out. We'll call the cops. It's done. I said, we're square, dude. I came up in here. I tried to do it. It didn't work. Fucking, you're tough, dude. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like, we'll call it squashed. Well, he says, okay, cool. So I start to get up, and I notice he's got a coffee pot sitting in there, and I just can't fucking help myself. I fucking grab it and smash his fucking head, try to start stabbing him in the throat with it. He gets me by the balls again. I get him by the throat again, and we stay there. Another good 2-3 hours, dude. Same fucking thing. And finally, we're so exhausted. I'm like, dude, he helps me out of the hole. Finally. Dude, let me tell you what, the next morning the cops came and they fucking called every fucking warden that they could. They all came. Nobody could believe it. They couldn't. If it wouldn't have made them look so bad, they would have put it on the news, because I've never seen anybody beating a hole in the middle of a fucking floor to get into someone else's cell, and almost getting my ass killed doing it. But I learned a good lesson from it. And that's whenever they decided that they were gonna really lock me down, and they did. So yeah. So I don't know, man. I ended up going to high security and staying in that motherfucker, and that was my life for a long time, you know. Yeah.
Do you have regrets from that period of your life?
Well, I regret that I didn't have more control in the beginning to get myself in the situation. But I gotta tell you, man, that I feel like everything I did was I wouldn't be here with you right now, Mark, if I would not have embraced that and went as hard as I did and did the shit that I did to people. I would not have even be here, because I would have got eaten up and spit out like a lot of other guys do, you know? And when you get up into the ranks of that shit and you start knowing more, the fact of the matter is a lot of the guys we were having killed is because he owed another ranking member like 50 grand, you know? Like, let's kill this guy because, you know, he's snitching or this, that, or the other thing. That's always their thing. Nobody's snitching. You fucking draw attention to yourself, and, you know, that's the problem. But so they'll have him smoked, and then the next thing you know, he owed the guy 50 grand, you know, or something of that nature, you know, or this guy wants his girlfriend, or he pissed somebody off. It's a cross-out game, man, and it's a big thing, and it's what gangs do. Whenever they lock you down and put you together, they still have to operate, and they eat themselves.
How many years were you supposed to do?
So I got a 6-year sentence in the beginning, okay? I got more added onto that, okay? I got more added onto that, and then I got a life sentence. And I'll tell you, man, the fact of the matter is I got it under an old law where you could get action if you've been locked up for 20 years or more under there, or 25 even, but I was confirmed as a gang member already. There's no action to me getting out of the SHU program or anything, for that matter, you know. I was stuck in it and I was doing it, and but I was also getting power and becoming powerful and making a lot of friends and also making some enemies too.
You were the leader of that gang? So
at that time I wasn't. That gang is ran by several people. It's a collective, you know, and once I got into the SHU program, once I beat the hole in that fucking floor, you know, I got sent over where the shot callers were.
It was a big prison?
It was a big prison, yeah. Yeah,
we're not going to mention the name for...
I don't want to mention the name.
Yeah, that's fine.
I just want to be ambiguous, and, you know, everybody knows me, man, and I'm already famous for a lot of shit over there, and it's not going to be a secret. It's just that I love my life nowadays, man, and hey, I'm not rejoicing in all my gangster shit, but it happened. My dirt's on the table, and everybody fucking knows it. So, and you might as well talk about it. You know, if it's gonna bring any good at all to anything or anybody, I don't know. It's making me fucking feel good right now, spilling all this shit out, because I haven't ever been able to tell anybody any of this stuff. You know, you're in a gang, dude. You lie to everybody. You hide secrets. You have to. You have dirt on every fucking buddy. You know, it's fucking. And the higher you up you go, the more worse it gets, man. You know, when I got into the SHU, I got put next to a real shot caller. He made me his right-hand man, okay? And then one day he did some funky shit. He went out into the day room and said, yeah, you know, this gang is bullshit, and it's blah, blah, blah. Here's what all these fucking shot callers are doing. Try to tell everybody the business, try to get and I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? He's like, I'm laying it down, I'm quitting. And I was like, don't come out there in the day room talking shit about this fucking to everybody, trying to get us all fucked up about it. You fucking get the fuck out of here then. And he's like, I'm just saying, I'll sit here on this table. And I was like, cool, go ahead. I blocked out my window, fucking got my goddamn slingshot out. Let me tell you about that. You take the fucking boxers, take all the elastic out, get the rubber bands, you twist them up, and you make ropes out of them. And then you fucking take that, okay? And you tie a little piece of fucking fabric on the back of it, and then you clip that thing into your fucking chicken wire, your doors, use a hot sauce bottle, make an arrow, put a piece of metal on the end, dipped in shit and piss for a few days, and then you just pull it back and aim it and fucking shoot it. And I've never seen anybody get shot with one. I've seen a lot of motherfuckers shoot at people, and they look dangerous as fuck and all that, but I've never seen anybody get really shot with one, okay? So in this case, I shot him, bam, hit him right in the fucking neck, ding! He pulls it out, a little drop of blood. No fucking big deal. Now he's really talking shit to me. I'm like, fuck, man. He's like, here's your arrow back. And I was like, fuck, should I take another shot? No, this is ridiculous. I threw everything away in case he told on me, man. So in case they came in my cell, I flushed everything down the toilet. This motherfucker he's in the cell next to me now, just so you know. He fucking comes back to the cell after his fucking wreck, and he goes in his cell. You know, and I go to the day room, it's my turn out there now. I'm fucking talking to my bros, don't listen to that guy, he's full of shit. And all of a sudden he starts kicking the door. Help, help, help. And I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, help, help. He's standing at the door with the light on. And I'm like, I'm looking in there, I'm trying, what the fuck is going on? So what happened was, the fucking piece of stainless steel that I shot him in the neck with, it perforated his fucking esophagus, barely, and his lungs started fucking filling up with blood. So after like 5 minutes, dude, he couldn't breathe anymore. And he was a big old fat lazy bitch too. So he fucking, dude, he had to send him out on a life flight helicopter, you know, like, get the fuck out of here. They had that medevac and like, come on, man, how fucking great is that, dude? Lucky shot. Took that motherfucker out, and I did get his spot, and not because of that. He quit, and I was his right hand man. It was right for me to get that spot. I got a spot that a lot of people didn't want, you know, because there wasn't a lot of, you know, if you were over this spot, there wasn't a lot of, you wouldn't have a lot of guys under you, you know. It's like it's sparsely populated, this part of the state and shit like that. But I also started thinking that, hey man, you know, this part of this property that I'm handling now is fucking connected to Mexico. What the fuck? So where I was locked up at, they had a lot of guys from down there. So I just made friends and I made connections, and I ain't got nothing bad to say about any of them. Those guys did good business, but I did make deals, and I got us a lot of money, a little bit, but I got us a lot of dope fronted. And let me tell you, dude, that was a whole fucking thing, being in prison, getting $100,000 worth of dope fronted from some people and giving it to your bros that are on the street and leaving it to these motherfuckers. There's like 200 of them to handle it and come back with $100,000 after a month. And that's a hard thing to do from in prison, especially with a bunch of dudes that are, you know, I'll say this, man, you don't get to pick your fucking members of your gang from the cream of the crop, the most honest people and shit like that. You got dope addicts, drug addicts, dope fiends, and what else do you call drug addicts? Because fucking a lot of those, man. So giving them fucking drugs is the fucking last thing you want to do. But I fucking did it, man. And dude, let me tell you what, boy, oh my God, dude, what a fucking campaign that turned into be. So we ended up getting the money. $100,000. You know, I had dudes on the street that were really working hard for me overtime, and I appreciated them for that. But never again. I decided, like, because you know my friends in Mexico were like, man, how much you want now? You want 200,000? I'm like, no more. Just because you know that could have turned into something dangerous for everybody. But I'm just saying, like, once I got into that spot, I started seeing the opportunities that these other people were not seeing. You know, and then. But also in this spot, it's like this. It's an odd number of people that are calling all the shots, so that you have a vote for anything big. You know what I mean? Anything big that comes up, it's going to be voted on by all the guys who are running the show. You know, and these guys fucking send a letter about kidnapping a girl and her baby because her husband owes us a lot of money and shit like that. And I'm gonna tell you right now, you know, like I had been feeling a lot of things and shit about being in the fucking this bullshit for all these years and stuff. But like I said, dude, these dudes you know, I don't know, man. I just couldn't not believe. I don't know. I decided I wanted to be a gang star and not a gangster. Like I just wanted to be. Everybody didn't know who the fuck I was. My name ringing everywhere, and it did for a while. All the opportunity I saw and that we were making for ourselves down there, it was going to shit because the people weren't good. And whenever they started talking about kidnapping this girl and this baby, like I had felt a lot of ways over the years about doing some of the shit that we were doing to people, but I never felt guilty at all because everybody's fucking on my side of the fence that I'm dealing with. Everybody here is in a gang, and you know what it is. It could just as easily be me tomorrow. You know, it could. So, you know, I never felt guilty about any of the shit we were doing. I felt that it was heinous, and rightfully so. But that being said, though, I didn't feel guilty about it, you know? But whenever these guys started talking about this, I got such a sick feeling in myself of thinking, I'm such a mama's boy, dude. I love my mother so much, and I miss her every day. Whenever I started thinking about these guys doing something to a girl or a mama, it got me to such a fucking point. And I was like, no, fuck that. That's not happening, So me and another guy, he was also same rank as me. We we tried to take over that shit. We tried to move in another direction. We tried to cross those guys out, and we tried to make a move for me, him, and another guy to take over the whole shebang. And so that's what we were doing a full press on. I was at war with those guys. I was so fucking tight about them doing this shit, even mentioning to this shit, man, that I was sour, and I was stewing on it every fucking day. I'm thinking about that shit when I woke up and when I went to sleep, and that's fucking bad. If you're on my mind when I go to sleep and when I wake up, you better fucking be ready, because that means I'm coming to get you, dude, or you're taking up too much space and I'm gonna have to do something, And in this case, what can you do? I'm not taking part in that. Fuck no. Fuck you. I'm not, there's no way. So, but how do you stop it? You to call or write them and tell them that's bullshit. But like, if they're mentioning it, I figure that if they're even talking about it, they've already crossed the line. There ain't no telling what they've already done. They might have already had the bitch. Who knows? And so yeah, I was like, fuck, man. We got to do something. So I started talking to some other guys that were running the show. We tried making our move. Man, we put some hits on some dudes. We did nothing that really panned out, man. It didn't really work out because the communication was shut off. And during that time, when I had a member of mine, a guy I was locked up with, got onto the streets. Okay, now when he was locked up with me, man, he wasn't a gang member because he only had a couple of years. But he was cool. He was my friend. I looked out for him. He fought all the time. He was really tough. And he got out in the world and he showed me so much loyalty, so much love right away. He got me a cell phone smuggled in so I could talk to my people out there every day. And then I started figuring out how to get cell phones to all the other guys calling shots too, and we did do that. So now all the shot callers are actually communicating. But that's when shit started getting fucked up, because then it's like so many years you run this gang through the mail, and it's like if you say you wanted something done, it's done maybe a month later, 2 months. You never know when it's going to happen. You don't know if the mail ever got there. Like, there's a lot of things. Now they have cell phones, and man, let me tell you what, it's just like instant. Go to this guy's house, knock on the door, this, that, or the other thing. And it's like, what the fuck, man?
But things are run from the prison?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the streets are run from the prison anyway. They've always been. It's just that when cell phones started getting in here, it changed up the game, because now, they can just send you right. It's instantaneous, man. It's the most dangerous thing that anybody can ever get in a prison is a cell phone. Trust me, man. And that's why the cops are in most places are so hard to get them. Where I was at, let me tell you, bottom of the barrel cops. They are on some of the lowest paid in the country. The dirt poor South is what it is. And so the cops are not. A lot of them are on welfare before they get this job, and they don't want to be. They have to get the job to get off of welfare. And so they don't want it, and they sell drugs. And then there's a lot of cops that are just poor, that they grew up dirt. So they bring shit in. So everything is controlled by them, Well, during all this time, we're trying to make our move and everything. And my buddy got out in the world. He's doing okay. And he's making moves for me, man. He's collecting money for me. He's like kicking doors. He's doing whatever he needs to keep shit operating down in my area. And that's saying something, because he's not even a member. He's just, he's just somebody's prospect. So he's out there. His uncle is one of my bros, and his uncle's son. The whole family's in it. And with his uncle, I don't know, man. I can't see ever trying to get my family involved in any shit like this, just because of how scary and sometimes it actually is for me. And I've fucking been living this shit forever, I just wouldn't want to see any of my family, but he did. And man, I'll tell you what, dude, some shit popped off somewhere, and some fucking cops, they went at it with some of my homeboys, and my buddy, they decided to do something about it, and so he goes up And he gets a hotel room, and they have a meeting and shit. And during that meeting, you know, I called on the phone. A couple other guys called on the phone. We said our piece about what happened with the cops shooting my bro while he's handcuffed, you know? And everybody was on the consensus to fuck it. Just, you should put a hit on the cop. So they were like, well, whoever's from up in that area, they can handle that or whatever, you know? Well, after that, the guy goes to, they finish the meeting and he goes to another city. One of the shot callers just got out onto the street, you know? While he's in that city, right, they ask him to pick up some dope and take it to the guy, you know? So he picks up the dope to take to the guy that just got out, and he steals half of it. So now he's stolen half of the dope just after he did this big meeting and all this different stuff. Like, it's so weird that he's going this way and then this way. But the fact of the matter is, he did steal it. Now it's my responsibility to find out who he is. I mean, to find out where he is and what's going on. And it sucks, man, because I actually fucking love this dude. I've been into a lot of sticky situations with him, and it's really fucking hard to do this with this guy, you know? I don't know. This guy right here, you know what? Let me tell you about him. This is how loyal this fucking guy was, okay? Dude, one day a girl calls me in prison, you know, on the phone and says, hey, I'm so-and-so's sister. And I'm like, okay, now what? And she's like, well, he's working for the law. And I'm like, listen, I don't fucking know you. Don't call me talking about my bros. Where'd you even get my number? Like, I'm in fucking locked up. What the fuck? You know? And she's like, okay. So just so happens, dude, I'm calling all my bros. Later that day, they're all having a meeting, you know? And they're all gonna be there. Now I'm fucking sitting on this shit about this dude. I don't know his sister. I don't know what's going on, but it's peculiar to me that his sister is calling to try to get him killed and shit like that. And I'm like, man, so the thing about it is, dude, if I mention this to anybody at all, any of my bros, to investigate or something, this guy's gonna die because they're gonna tell somebody else and it's gonna become hot news and a rumor, or even if it's not true, even if it is true. So I don't know what to do, man. And I started trying to think, like, what the fuck? I said, fuck it. I'm just gonna go straight at him and tell him, hey, I got everybody on the phone. I said, listen, here's the deal, dude. Your sister just called me and told me that you're fucking working for the law. And what's up, dude? You know, what are we gonna do about this? And now I'm telling him in front of everybody. He's like, fuck that, I'm gonna kill her. And I was like, good. He's like, well, I'll tell you what's going on. I fronted her some dope. I could show you the text. She didn't pay me. She wanted some more. I wouldn't give it to her, and she's mad. And I said, that makes sense. But what are we gonna do about it, you know? He's like, well, I'm gonna fucking smoke her. I was like, cool. So I tell my other bro, I said, give the phone to him. I give him the phone. I said, listen, dude, load a shotgun, drive that motherfucker over there to his sister's fucking house, and stop about 2 blocks away and call me. You know, I'm not gonna let him kill his own sister, but I sure the fuck wanna see where this is going and what the fuck is she telling me this shit for, like, honestly. So I said, do that and then call me when you get there, you know? He said, okay, cool. Dude, let me tell you what, man, 30 fucking minutes later, he calls me screaming, So here's what happened. He drives the dude there. The dude's like, fuck that, I'm killing my sister. That fucking bitch ain't gonna get me fucked up with my gang and die. So, and then my friend's like, well, hold on, we gotta call him first, you know? And he's like, fuck no, bam, punches him in the face, grabs the shotgun out of the car and takes off towards his sister's house. And my friend's like, I don't know what's going on, what the fuck? I'm like, dude, you better drive down there. And I told him, I was like, hold the phone out, put on speaker. He's like, I'm gonna kill her. I was like, dude, get in the fucking car and just leave. I say, dude, look, this is just a test, that's it. He's like, no. I was like, dude, if you kill your sister, we're gonna put a hit on you and all this is gonna be over any fucking way. What the fuck? You can't do that. I said, bro, look, it's okay, dude. I don't believe her, just so you know. That's it, I don't believe her, dude. It's okay. I don't know how she got my number though, you better figure that out. But I don't believe her. And he said, okay, good. You know? Well, that is the guy that I loved, you know, and that was loyal to a fault, you know. And so I thought, well, fast forward now, and he's stolen one of our shot callers' dope after he just did this big meeting, all this stuff. And I have to figure out how to clean this shit up. So I got my guys that are on the street, and one of my guys, actually the guy I seen in jail the first day in prison, that I played baseball with when I was a kid, he was getting out, man. And he got out, and he's an enforcer. He is just a fucking psychopath and a maniac. And when he got out, he started doing dirt for everybody, but he was my main guy, and he got a couple other guys, and they went looking for the dude, and they found him, you know. What makes me sick about all this is that, I don't know, man. I guess if you think in the mind of a gangster, this is fucking right, what's happening, and it has to be fucking done. You know, you think of the mind of someone that's my friend, it making me sick to have to deal with this. And then you think of it as the mind of a human being, it's like, how do you even fathom thinking of shit like this? Is this your normal fucking everyday life, you know? Normal people their jaws would drop to know that these are the things you're contemplating day in and day out, you know, and things that are eating you up. And I go through people and see them in the world all the time and think like, you would never know what's going on behind these eyes, man, you know? So but that got me sick about it, dude. But the fact of the matter is it had to be done. They found him. He had his kid with him, 2-year-old. And I said, you're just gonna have to leave him with the babysitter, dude. And we're just gonna go beat you up. You're gonna give that dope back. And we're not gonna see you again, dude. You're gonna walk away from this shit and be done. And he's like, man, I was like, dude, you gotta do it, you know? And so he went and left this kid with the babysitter and told her he'll be back in 2 hours, you know? And that's where his kid stayed. So they took him out to the field and they called me. And I asked him all the questions I need to ask him, like, why are you doing? What were you doing? You know, while he was at the meeting up there, you know, he set up a camera there, man. You know, whenever they found him, they shook him down and he was wearing a wire. It's like, how can you explain this to me, man? How can you just tell me something, dude, you know? And he wouldn't, you know? He wouldn't say shit, you know? They were beating him up and all that, and it's like, and I you know, it comes down to this, and it's like, they ask you, what do you want me to do with him? And it's so much very differently than putting your hands on someone and getting busy, because if you have any heart at all and you tell someone to kill someone and they do it, you know, you're gonna feel something. And I did, man. I did. I felt horrible, but I had to tell him, you know, you gotta do it. Because if not, they're gonna kill us, man. Because he's our guy. And that's what it's gotta be, you know. And so they did. They cut his throat. They shot him in the face 3 or 4 times with a shotgun. And then I called to the guy and that got robbed for the dope. And I said, hey, we took care of that, but the other half of the dope is gone and we'll have to make it up. I could give it back to you in a couple of days. And he's like, oh, fuck that, rah, 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 rah. And I was like, motherfucker, dude, this is the hardest thing I ever had to do is kill my friend, dude. And just, what the fuck are you eating? You're gonna be fucking talking shit to me, man? Now I was like, fuck it. I was like, you know what, dude, fuck you. I hung up and I called my friend. I said, dude, have you guys left yet? And he's like, no. I said, dude, cut off that guy's finger. Cut off one of his fucking fingers. And you're gonna take it to this dude's house. You're gonna knock on his fucking door. And when he opens the door, you're gonna hand it to him in a Ziploc baggie. You know? That's what you're gonna fucking do. So they did, and then they lost it. And they called me back and said they lost it. They had to go get another one after they had left. I mean, they did. So they went and got another one. And they did. They took it, and they took it to the dude's door. The dude opened the door, he's like, oh, I don't want that. And they fucking threw it in his face. But you know what? My guy, the enforcer, got to see this dude's real colors, man. You know? And he know what he told me? He's like, what the fuck are we even doing here with these people? He said, you should see how scared this fucking guy was when I came to his fucking door. And I gave him a fucking, like, fuck these people, dude. They're fucking. He's like, how are you gonna call shots, man? Just calling them like you're John Gotti somewhere. And ding, 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 like nothing. But you honestly, in real life, you would not do any of that shit. You would not fucking touch that shit with a 10-foot pole. You know? Fucking fake ass people, man. And it got me so fucking pissed and disillusioned about my own fucking people that I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. You know? It's like we're willing to go to the mat and do this stuff, you know, and yeah. So that being said, that's what happened with him, man. And he was a very good friend of mine. I loved him. And it broke my fucking heart to have to do that, man. It did, you know. Well, fucking A, dude, fast forward, you know, my friend leaves there and they go and get pulled over. You know, they got guns in the car. They get arrested. And the guy, one of the 3 guys that just did this shit, starts telling immediately in the car on everybody and tells lies because he's nobody. He doesn't even know shit, you know? Like, the only people who actually know what's going on are the people who are really, you know? Everybody else is just getting something from someone. You know, and if this guy down here gets some shit that came from way up there, how the fuck are you gonna know it came from way up there? How are you gonna prove it or anything? You can't. So it's insulation, that's what it's called. But he started telling everything he knew, and they arrested all 4 of them, put them in the fucking county jail. Now, I'll make the story a little more fucking interesting for you right now. It's because the guy is the fucking nephew of the sheriff in the county where we had him killed. Awesome. Fucking great, dude. These motherfuckers locked me up in their jail. They put me in the back of the jail, fucking, like, where nobody's been in 30 fucking years and shit. And put signs on my door and shit. Don't talk to me. Don't give me no fucking extra anything. Like, all kinds of shit. And the day I get there, though, they start tussling me and they fuck my jaw up and break it, you know? And they think that I'm gonna go in there and confess and that's gonna be that. And I didn't. And I wasn't gonna. And I wasn't telling. I wasn't cooperating. I wasn't doing anything, man. I was just trying to figure out what was going on. They hit me with the capital murder case, trying to give me the death penalty. So that's a whole nother story, you know. Imagine going in the courtroom, you know, and hearing, you know, they're gonna fucking try to take your fucking life. It's like, I don't know, man. So yeah, so it's like, I don't know. I'm like, fuck. I just sat there and going through the motions. I got fucking death penalty attorneys. My brother fucking spending all his money, and like, I just was gonna fight the case, man. And I'm going on and shit. And as I'm going, you know, they've still got me back here all by my fucking self all this fucking time. I'm pretty much staying out of trouble. There's nothing for me to do. I'm just waiting for this trial to start so I can figure out what's going on. And really all I want is for the trial to start so I can get discovery, so I can get all the paperwork on everybody who's been telling, and then I could give it to my fucking bros. And they can do whatever they want. But problem is, at that time, I would be on death row. And that would be the end of me. And I would have no contact with anybody ever again. So, which is fine. I was okay with that at the time, you know? Well, I'll tell you this, man. A couple years are going by, and one day I fucking get a visit from my attorney, and he tells me that my brother's got stabbed, and he got his teeth kicked out, and that my mom's house got burned down, you know, last night. And honestly, at first when they said my brother got stabbed and shit, it didn't occur to me that it was my own people that did it. And then whenever they said that my mom's trailer burned down, you know, I knew for sure it was those motherfuckers. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what the fuck, man? You know? And it terrified me. You know? It terrified me. I knew who it was. You know, I was just so sure of it. And I was right, man. I was right, dude. I fucking told my attorney, I was like, listen, man, I need you to contact the feds. I said, I don't give a fuck about me. I'm doing life. But I'll be damned if I'm going to go to death row and shit. You're not going to fucking hurt my family, dude. What the fuck, man? They have nothing to do with anything. And not only that, I wasn't doing anything wrong, man. I was being a gang star. I was fucking not snitching, not telling, not fucking cooperating, not doing shit. Matter of fact, while I was in that county jail, every fucking time they moved me out of the cell and I got a chance to, I did something violent to somebody. How about that? So I was fucking rocking, dude. I wasn't giving a fuck. But they tried to shit, they tried to kill my family, dude. I don't know why. So I contacted the feds and told them to fuck off. And I meant it. Like from that point on, I was done with that shit, dude. You're not gonna, that's one thing that, you know, I don't know. Hey, whenever they started talking about kidnapping girls and shit, you know, I was disillusioned. I was pissed. And I know the majority of that tip and them people are not about that, okay? It's a very, very few who do it. But it got me, fuck that, man. So anyway, yeah. So I contacted the feds and I cooperated, man. And I'll tell you, dude, I don't know, man. First thing they did, though, was bring me a bunch of file boxes of all the fucking cell phones. They went and kicked the doors down of these guys, and they still had some cell phones that I had helped them get a long time ago. So there was a lot of texting and shit between all those guys and me for a little while on there. So when they got those, they retrieved all the texts and they brought me file boxes, just fucking stacks of them in my cell. They took me out of that county jail. They almost had to fist fight the sheriff to get me the fuck out of there. It was a fucking standoff, dude, because that sheriff, that was his nephew, man. And his nephew got done bad, dude. You know, but his nephew was an informant, by the way, and he fucking stole shit and he was in a gang, so what do you expect? But I'm just saying, like, the sheriff wasn't trying to let that shit go. He was like, fuck no, they don't want to let me go, but they had to, so they took me out. And I went and for a while, man, I was just going through these cell phone records and just reading these texts, and I'm just highlighting, like, this is this guy, this is this guy, this is this guy. So that took me like fucking 6 months, dude, to do that shit. You know that? Just highlighting, dude, fucking, hey. Yeah, I think he said I went through like $489 worth of markers in 6 months. That ain't no joke, highlighters. So then after that 6 months, now I get to start actually going through this shit, and I get to start reading it and piecing it together. And I get to try to put these puzzles and pieces together about what was going on at what certain times and shit. Because now I'm like, fuck this, dude. I'm going to figure this shit out. And so I start reading. Hey, let me tell you what. First thing I start noticing, these motherfuckers are all fucking trying to get me killed. Like fucking several times, dude. Like fuck them. You know, like I'm sitting here reading this shit. Like all this time I was doing all this shit. And at the time they're like, hey, you know, that guy, he might be getting too powerful. Maybe we should take him out. Hey, maybe he making, like, oh my God, everything you could think of, making too much money, getting too organized. Fuck you. What the fuck? I was thinking like, these motherfuckers were really fucking thinking. So they were already planning to kill me a long time ago, like for nothing and shit. And I was like, oh, okay, now you're fucked.
What's it like to read messages between people that you know that are trying to kill you?
Yeah, and not only that, but like some of the messages were like to somebody a guy that I was there with, you know? And the guy's like, I don't know about trying to do that to him. He might, you know, because he's like, it's one guy. They're like, hey, we need you to go kill that dude. And he's like, I don't know. That might not be such a great idea. Maybe we could get some more people over here to help me. And like, because I don't give a fuck, dude. I would come stab you in the warden's office if I think I have to. I don't fucking care. I decided that shit a long time ago. If I was going to do anything, I was going to go balls to the fucking wall. And I was going to go a step and above beyond everybody else. And that's hard to do. That's hard to do in that gang because those motherfuckers are ruthless, man. So, yeah. Well, anyway, so now here I am. Here I am fucking, man, I don't know. I'm fucking cooperating. I'm fucking, you know, I'm still not getting out of prison and shit, and which is fine. I mean, they helped my brother. They helped my mom, you know, and sad to say that, you know, I lost my mother, you know, while I was locked up. Actually, I lost everybody in my family while I was locked up. That's a life in prison, though. That's what it goes. I did not grieve my mother until I was released in 2020. First time I ever shed a tear for her. And that was hard because, you know, I talked to her every day.
Where's your brother?
I don't know, man. I think New Zealand. I don't know. My brother's, I haven't seen him in a couple years, and he's out. I don't know. I honestly don't know, man. You know, my brother doesn't have anything to do with this life and all this stuff. And I think that he's seen that, you know, that this is something that I had to do for myself. But I'll tell you something, whenever you do this If you decide to make the decision to do anything, you give up everything and everyone that you ever knew and loved. You know, that's part of the trade-off.
Do you regret getting involved in it?
No, I don't. I'll tell you why, man. So during that time, during the time, it took me a few years from the time that I cooperated until I actually, you know, everything started really happening. And during this time, I got paints in my cell, man. Now, I had one fucking place to hide shit in this cell, and it was in the door handle, and the door's skinny. So you can only fit so much shit in a sock and drop it down in there and then screw the handle back on. You know, it's a thing. But it was the only place I had to hide shit. And that's where I had all my shit that I loved. My fucking weed, my tattoo guns, you know, naked pictures of girls, butt naked magazines, just stuff that I liked. My shit, my contraband, you know? Well, I started painting, dude, and next thing you know, I love painting so fucking much, but I'm not supposed to have these brushes because you could stab somebody with them. And dude, the more brushes you have, if you paint, you will know what I'm saying, you need a lot of brushes. So I started accumulating them, getting them from the guards everywhere I could, but I started having to get rid of my other shit. I started having to get rid of my tattoo guns, my weed. I didn't have room for nothing else except for my art supplies. And I fucking started guarding with my life more than anything. And next thing you know, man, I fucking have 240 inmate assaults, man, over like my first 10 years. And all the next thing you know, there's nothing. I've been staying out of trouble in the SHU program for like almost 5 years. I've been out of trouble, not just painting and shit, having no contraband, doing good, doing all the stuff I'm doing, helping them, trying to figure out, you know, like all this piece of this puzzle of helping the government dismantle these fucking people, you know? And it was hard, you know, and it took a while. It took a while. It took a few years. But during that time, I started painting. Art became more of my life than anything. And when I was finally done and I got shipped off to the feds, I started painting there, man. And what happened is they took everything that I had given them, you know, which I never lied. I kept it real. You know, all the times that I talked to them, and I told them everything, you know, and I had nothing to worry about after that. I was honest. They got all that they needed, and they started going at the guys. And I'm in the feds, man, you know, and life is cruising along. You know, I'm painting, all kinds of shit's happening with me. Man, a lady came and asked me, you know, if I could paint a building, and I said, I don't know, maybe. I fucking painted a prison for her. Well, guess what? She came back again and asked me to paint another one. Next thing you know, she came back and said, like, hey, can I paint one for the Justice Department? You know, can I paint one for the fucking director of the BOP? So I fucking painted. I painted, dude. All these pictures. Now, I have so many fucking pictures of every prison I painted. They're all in a national monument in D.C. Like, fucking, I've done pictures for Major General Inch when he was the fucking director of the BOP. I made signs for all the BOP. I learned how to do everything in there. I taught myself. I got airbrushes and learned how to airbrush. Acrylic paint, gouache, you fucking name it. Then I started learning how to fine art. I started redoing all the masterpieces. During this time in the feds, I got there. I met a guy that had been locked up since '76, and he's from South Boston, and he was really famous for a long time, man. And when I first got there, I was fucked up from coming out of the SHU. When you go back into population, you act ways that you don't think you act, you know? Like I first get out and I'm like, my first day there, I'm like, hey fellas, I'm meeting all the guys in the unit and shit. Hey, you know, it's new to me being around people. I've been in solitary for 11 and a half years. So just somebody patting you, it's like a shocker. It's like you're in a cell with another dude all of a sudden. Everything's all fucking weird and stuff. But when I got there, you know, I think about people all the time. I judge people constantly. It's just one fucking thing that I do. And when people are talking, I deeply listen, man. And a lot of times I'll just be thinking like, I just have a narrative going in my mind like, wow, that's amazing. Or, God, shut the fuck up, or whatever, you know? Well, I'll tell you what, man. I meet these guys, hey, fellas, how y'all doing? This guy's like, yeah, I'm so-and-so, I'm from here, blah, blah, blah. This fucking guy's like, oh, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting there thinking, God, dude, just shut the fuck up, dude. Please, dude. Fucking your fucking voice is fucking making me want to punch you. And so, and I'm looking, and all the guys are like looking at me shocked, like, what the fuck? And I'm just like, you know, and everybody leaves awkwardly, you know? And the old guy goes, come here, man. He pops me into the fucking art room, and he goes, what the fuck's wrong with you, man? He goes, man, you just got out of the shoe. He goes, listen, dude. He goes, you think that you're saying shit in your mind, and you're not. You're saying it out loud, dude. He's like, that dude's talking, and you're just like, why don't you just shut the fuck up? You're just like telling that shit. He's like, well, you think that what you're saying in your head? I'm like, I'm shocked, dude. But you know, yeah, I said it out loud. You know why it is? Because let me tell you, it's for years and years of pacing in the cell. Motherfucker, I swear to God. You just talk to yourself.
Talk to yourself.
Ding, fucking pace. 11 and a half years, dude. Never stopped talking, probably. You know, fucking, you know me.
That's funny.
Yeah, so it's like, anyway, they got it. Yeah, I'm painting. I'm doing all this stuff. Yeah, but my friend tells me that, like, I'm mentally ill and shit. And he's like, dude, you're mentally ill from coming out of solitary and stuff. And he's like, you know, do you need to get on some medicine? He's like, you got shit going on. You're saying stuff out loud that you think you might be saying in your head. And it's an issue, man. And it was, you know, like I did get on meds. And I got that part ironed out, you know. And well, so while I'm there, dude, you know, things are going along. They got all the information they need from me. I'm done with them, like, you know, but they're gearing up for trial for the guys and shit. And every time something comes up about the cases, you know, if I'm watching TV or something, I notice it or whatever, because it's national news. And then me and my buddy are watching one day, and oh my God, dude, these motherfuckers went in there and killed the prosecutor on the case and his fucking wife. And it fucking freaked everybody out, dude. The other prosecutors on the case came on TV and stepped off the case. And it was scary. It was a scary time. I didn't know what was gonna, like, at the time I was just like, I don't know, man. I mean, I was okay, but it's just a shocker. Just a shocker, you know? And what it is that they did charge all them guys, and then they fucking locked them all up together. You know, they put them all right there together in their home fucking town where they have all their power and everything. It's like, stupid. What the fuck you think was gonna happen? They have constant access to people in the world where they're at. You know, you gotta separate. You gotta shut that shit down, man. So yeah, so fuck it. Like, they came back at me. They asked me. They were like, "What's going on?" I'll tell you. I'll be honest with you. I asked my buddy. I asked him, old school, what should they do? And he wrote me out a fucking list of shit they should do, and I gave it to him. And I'm sure they did it, and they got them. They got them settled down. And they got them separated, and they got their mail shut down and all that shit. Like, that's what you got to do. Well, new prosecutor came on the case, and good guy, really good guy. And he fucking came on TV and said he don't give a fuck. He ain't scared of nobody, that his ass is going to get these people. And he did. He did. I'm very proud of him. He did, because, dude, imagine, you know, thinking in the eye of fucking, that's real danger, dude. I mean, they kicked down a fucking prosecutor's door with an AK and just kill everybody in the house. Like, you know, that's something, dude. That is not some guy behind a desk over here pointing his finger saying they did it, put them in jail. That's real life shit, you know, and it takes courage to do that. And I give them all the fucking props in the world to all of them, man. All the law enforcement that took part in this to do it, I gotta give it to them. They did a superb job, and they did an upstanding job. They did what they're supposed to, and they did it right, and they didn't do dirty. They didn't do it dirty. They did the way they're supposed to, and they put them all away. And every one of them pled guilty and took lives because they had no choice. They did it all. Everything that they said they did, that I said they did. Everything I said I did. You know, I took responsibility. I think everybody actually did at the end of the day, because they didn't want to go to trial. You know, I was hoping we wouldn't go to trial. I don't want to testify against nobody. You know. So
you got out somehow through cooperating? I got
out through the First Step Act, man. And it is because I cooperated and got into the feds. That's for sure a big part of it. But with me, the First Step Act is something that Jared Kushner and Donald Trump came up with in like 2019. And it gave a lot of people action on getting out of prison, man. That if you, now a lot of them were drug charges and stuff like that, you know? I'll say a lot of the criteria was for people like, imagine a dude, like a friend of mine that I was in there with, a black dude from DC, right? He's doing 40 fucking years, man, for a little bit of crack. I mean, literally, dude, that's ridiculous, man. You know, for fucking $30 a crack, 40 years and shit. And it's because they said he was selling it, you know, and at the time he got it, that's how the crack laws were. So the First Step Act kind of changed a lot of laws for people like that. But also, a lot of other people were eligible if you've been out of trouble for a long time, if you've done this, if you've done that, if you've taken classes. I'll tell you this, dude, I wasn't even thinking about getting out, Mark. But what I was doing was I started teaching people how to paint. And so I started taking every fucking painting college course I can think of. I have fucking, you name it, I know it. I started taking color theory so I could be a better teacher. Then I started teaching all the fucking anger management classes. So I started taking psychology classes, dude. And so I could understand these motherfuckers better, because I didn't want to teach all these guys, you know? I don't want to rub elbows with fucking molesters and shit, you know? But at the end of the day, dude, you know, everybody has their story. And that's one thing I know from watching all your videos. Everybody has their own fucking story, and you never know what's flipping behind those eyes, dude. You just don't. And you don't know what really happened with people. So I'm just saying, like, I wanted to understand people better. I wanted to learn a lot of stuff. I'll say this, in the gang I was in, it was criteria for you to even be in it. You had to know a lot of shit. You had to learn a lot of shit. You had to read a lot of shit. You have to know Grey's Anatomy so you know where to fucking stab people at. You have to know a lot. You have to learn a lot of shit. We don't fuck around, dude. They don't fuck around. They are big on learning everything. Because the fact is, dude, if I'm gonna be a master of my environment, I am not gonna be a product of it ever again. I've done that, dude. You know, I've been a product of the trailer park and all that shit. I lived up to it. And I will not ever be a fucking product of my environment. I will only be a master of it, or I will be the person that helps create, build, you know, and hold together. But
so there is such a thing as rehabilitation in the prison.
So let me tell you about that, right? During the time that I was staying out of trouble and hiding my brushes and all this shit, you know, what was happening in me is that I was maturing and I was growing, you know, and I was changing, man. You know, I don't want to do drugs. I don't do them. And not because I go to AA. I've never done, none of that shit's ever done anything. I don't do anything at all because I don't want to, because it don't make me a fucking better person. It just doesn't. And once you get that out of the way, say, okay, look, this shit don't make me better. It's not good for me. It's fucked up, and it's just gonna fuck up your life. You know, those things right there. One thing that I have been, for sure, I learned my lessons, man. And I usually don't make the same mistakes twice. I've been very lucky in that, you know. And also, another thing that I think I've been lucky at is I've been able to look at a lot of other people's consequences and feel it and be like, ooh, I don't want that to happen. And I've been able to help that mold me a little bit too. And that's been lucky. A lot of people can't do that. You know, so during the time that I'm painting and I'm knowing these people, I'm taking classes, dude. I'm getting all these degrees and you name it, everything you can think of. And classical music, dude. I started loving classical music. My God, I started learning about all the composers. And dude, I started reading. Like when I was in solitary, I read everything you can think of, thousands and thousands of books. You know, no TVs ever. I never had a TV when I was in the SHU program, never. I had a radio for 5 of those 11 and a half years. Other than that, I didn't have shit but books. So I read everything, man. And so over the time, you know, all that stuff starts sinking in. And as you get older and mature, what happened with me was, I tell you, man, my friend told me right away when I got in there, like, you're talking to yourself, you're mentally ill. He goes, listen, dude, everybody knows what you've done. He said, this is a thinking man's game, life. It's not a fighting man's game. They have a place for you if you want to be a fighting man, dude. Right where you just came from. You're going to be smart. You need to be a thinking man, dude. He said, it's the only way you're ever going to stay out of trouble. And you know, this guy, over the 14 years I was there with him, man, he fucking taught me more about living out here in the world and being a good man than anybody I've ever known. And, you know, he hasn't seen this world since 76, you know?
He's still in there now?
He died last year, man.
He died?
Yeah, he did. And I loved him so fucking much. You know, whenever they told me I was getting out. So here's how it happened, right? thought I might have action in getting out. You never know, this, that, and the other thing. And they came and told me, you might have action in getting out this day or that day. I didn't think so. And they came back a few months later and they were like, well, hey, you will be getting out. And first thing I thought was, oh no. Like, I've been locked up for 25 years. Like, I don't want that, dude. Like, well, I'm cool. Like, right fucking here, man. I got everything I need. Like, but then it stopped and it really sunk in. I'm like, holy shit, I'm fucking gonna get out of here someday. And I was like, damn. So then I tell my friend, and dude, that's another hard one, to go up there and see these people and then come back to the cell and tell my best friend, dude, that I'm going home.
Is this scary?
Yeah. Yeah, it was scary. It was scary, dude. And you know what, man? You know what my friend did? He fucking said, we got to make you a plan. He was all about it. From the very beginning, dude. He was so fucking happy for me, dude. And a lot of people would not have been that way. A lot of people just want to see you fail, dude, and see you fucking burn and shit,
This is a friend of yours in the prison.
Yeah. The guy, he taught me everything, man. We were locked up there together 14 years, and he's the one that encouraged me to go to school and all this stuff. And hey, guess what? Whenever this first step act came in, all this college and all these things that I had were beneficial to me, and they helped me, And it turns out I did get out, I got out, man, and I had 5 years of parole to do, and I've done it, I'll tell you this, like my life. Once they told me I was getting out, I started trying to figure everything out. And I'm like, fuck it. I found a place in New York that I could work. I paint murals. I'm like, damn, there's a badass place called Sky High Murals, Colossal Media. I wrote to them and shit and told them I was gonna be getting out. And then, fucking A, dude, I'm gonna be getting out the first couple months of 2020, right? Well, guess what, dude? Like October of 2019, COVID hit, and they put us on lockdown in the cell, dude. So now we're not even coming out. And I'm just watching. Now I have a TV though, and I'm just watching. Like, I'm going to New York. I'm going to New York when I get out. That's where I'm gonna go live. That's my city. And I'm like, that's where I'm going. So, and I'm just watching New York on fucking TV every day. They build fucking, they put tents up in fucking Central Park for morgues and shit. Like, and I'm just like, every day I'm like, fuck, I'm dying. I got COVID, man. Open the door. Like, because it's building up. It's like 3 months. I'm gonna have to be waiting like this and shit. And they finally came in there. Okay, so while I was in the feds, dude, I worked for the administration. I was the clerk for the main managers, and I did all the painting. I was a big part of the unit success. And I'll tell you this, I made sure everybody got new TVs, all lockers. Like, I didn't fuck around, dude. I ordered shit, so I ordered shit for everybody. I took care of everybody there like they were my own little family.
You said the feds covered up your tattoos too?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this, they do whatever they can for what they can, And I don't really want to tell anything about them and how they do their stuff. But
tell me about your tattoos. What did you have originally?
So I did have a lot of Nazi shit. I had a lot of like satanic shit, skinhead shit, just racist, fucking just shit you didn't want, dude. Out in this world and shit. And
was that something you ever believed before you got into the AB?
No. I really didn't. Like I'll tell you this, man. Where I grew up in the South, and people were very racist. They said the N-word in my school. Teachers said it and shit. And there was like little sing-alongs and shit. And the Klan was down there in the city where I grew up. Fucking right there on Main Street, dude. Now, my grandpa and all the people that were up in that older age bracket were all with that shit. My father was a Vietnam vet. So my dad came back and he was a junkie. And the Klan, they don't want nothing to do with no junkie. They think you're just as bad as a black dude or a fucking Mexican or whatever else. That's how they feel. So I didn't get that shit. They didn't take to me and my brother like they did the other kids in our family. Like all the other kids in our family and shit are all fucking Masons, and they went all that Southern culture. They all were, because they were hand fed it from from the family. My family, my dad was, undesirable, the black sheep. So they didn't take attention to us, and we didn't get that shit pumped down our throats. And my brother by far had plenty. We grew up around a lot of Mexicans, so I had all Mexican friends. My brother had friends from everywhere. He had Asian friends but we didn't take him to my grandpa's house. That's for sure. He did not do that. He did sometimes when they were drinking, but they didn't like it. So, but yeah, so I wasn't with that shit. But then going in the Navy, being in the military and being in a combat or anything like that. Listen, dude, one color. It's green. We are red, white, and blue. You ain't got time for that shit. You don't got time for that. We're all here together, man, and we're all supposed to be helping each other out. It's just the way it is. It's just sad to say that's not, and it's pumped that way. I made my first black friend when I got in the feds. And his name's Smooth, man. He's from D.C. and I worked together with him. We worked together for 12, 13, 14 years, and let me tell you what, man. I cried, dude, when I left because I fucking love him and I'm gonna miss him. And I do miss him. I miss him a lot, man. He's a big part of my life. All these guys were a big part of being the transformational person that I am right now. They were all part of this, of me becoming.
What is your view of racism now?
Oh God, I think it's horrible. Jesus Christ almighty. Hey, since I've been out, I have dated black girls, okay? Definitely dated a lot of Spanish girls. I'm single now. Just so you ladies know. But the thing is like, okay, so yeah, hold on. I want to get back to the tattoos real quick. Now, here's what I want to say about that is that they do whatever they got to do, right? With me, I want to say this, right? I don't want to go into a lot of detail about it, but I will say this. All these tattoos you see on me, I got all these tattoos, this whole suit in like less than 90 days. You fucking show me anybody, anywhere that goes through that. I got tattooed 4 or 5 days a week for fucking almost 3 months, dude. But it was because I could at the time. It was a thing that was possible to do because COVID. There was nothing happening. Couldn't work, couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do shit. Everybody's masked up, which was good, beneficial for me. Because I can just stay covered. And then get my tattoos all done, stay covered, and nobody will see any of this bullshit. Because I didn't want to come out here. You get people on this show all the time, and you don't want to come out here like that, even if it's not racist shit and all that kind of stuff. I mean, if you're still, want to be active in gangs and whatnot, I guess that's fine. But if you don't and you want to do something better, like look at the sex offenders that you talk to in the trailer park. I mean, they're stuck, with the stigma on them. And the same thing with tattoos, Mark. It's just that you can see them. And you know what they are. And people see shitty tattoos and they know, dude. Hey, I'm a good tattoo artist. I'll tell you right now, I will fix any fucking prison tattoo or cover it for anybody I meet in everyday life free. No problem. I do it all the fucking time. I'll keep doing it. Do it forever. Always. I will always do that. Nobody wants to be out here with shitty tattoos. I could show you my tattoos if you want to see them.
Let me see them.
Sure.
They're beautiful.
Huh?
They're beautiful.
So I'll tell you this, right? All the artwork is done by really good artists, but it's all my designs and my drawing. I drew all my own patterns. I was lucky to have done that because the artists were like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I know what I want. And I'll draw it free every single day. I drew stuff and took it to them. And yeah, dude, they covered my whole shebang here.
The feds did this.
Well, the feds did some of it.
Yeah.
They did some of it. I've taken a lot of it, dude. Anything that I could reach with this right hand right here, I did it myself. Dude, I had a bunch of bullshit on me that would have just drew attention to me no matter what, So yeah, dude. Okay, so here now the next part of my life is just getting ready to get out. I get out, dude, and COVID's here, obviously. So I can't not go work at Sky High Murals because it's not a thing. They're not even operating at the time. And I didn't have a fucking clue what I was gonna do. I'll tell you that, dude. I did so much different things. And I did a bunch of different jobs. And I'll tell you this, man, I would go work in a factory. And if I felt squirrely, I would pop the clutch and move, quit. I'll go get another job. No fucking problem, dude. I didn't, and I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I didn't just try to get like, oh my God, let's make this work, you know? Because some places were uncomfortable for me to be. I didn't like talking to people, man. I came out of prison, you know, fucking fucked up in the head, man. I'm still fucked up in the head. I'm mentally ill, and it's a struggle, you know? So yeah, so coming out was hard. My first year, I did a lot of different jobs and shit, and then I fucking, and then I got into, I'll tell you right now, I got into healthcare, and once I got into healthcare, I was like wiping butts and stuff like that, and you know, which is fine. I didn't mind it at all. Hey, and what made me love it so much is because I'm a veteran, and a lot of the people that I would go and help take care of were vets, man. And next thing you know, what I'm doing is, like, where I'm going, it's like they want me to take care of all the veterans. So, and I go there and I go get all the vets. I give them all baths, I give them haircuts, shaves, whatever. And I got to be known for doing that. And I take care of vets everywhere. Well, then I went out to the state mental hospital, and I was working out there as a nursing assistant, right? For some old people in the geriatric unit. And then something happened. And then I had to go take some training, right? I go over to take like a first aid training, and they're in there doing martial arts and shit. And I'm at the state hospital. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I check it, and I'm like, oh. So they train cops, state police, corrections officers, people who work at the mental hospital, the proper way to restrain people. And I like saw the guy that was teaching, and I was like, hey, he's like, hey, you look crazy, man. You want to come in here and try this? I was like, fuck yeah. So I go in there, and man, dude, it's cool. So next thing you know, he's like, fuck that, you don't gotta be over there. You could come over here and work with me. So now I'm over here, and I'm training cops, dude. Fucking proper way to restrain people. I had a great idea, man, but they shot me down. I think every cop that comes in there should get choked out first, so they can fucking know what it feels like before they start choking people out. But they said no, they didn't want to do that. I wanted to do it. I figured we could choke them all out as soon as they get in the class, and then, you know.
So you were a monster at one point, or what people would call a monster.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, dude.
And now you're
okay. So listen, and it even gets better than that, right? So I did that for a little while, but ultimately, somebody is mentally ill, stabbed a nurse. Fucking okay. Hold on. Let me back up just a bit. Hold on. So once I started helping with this training and stuff, right? And it was going well. Okay. Then they needed somebody to go work into a max unit and shit in the building, which is these are prisoners of the state in here, dude. And they gave me a set of handcuffs, a set of shackles, and keys. And I could not put them on anybody. I couldn't do it, man. You know, the guy stabbed the fucking nurse, and I couldn't even handcuff him. I jumped over and grabbed him, and he bit my finger, almost bit it all the way off. I yanked it out. It was hanging. Fucking. But, you know, a lot of times, Mark, I'll tell you this, man. That was a hard thing for that to happen, right? And then once that happened, though, back into the training and stuff. I'm working back in the training building and stuff. And when we go back into the buildings again to work, I'm like the leader of the team for whenever there's outbreaks and shit. So in prison, right, I used to fight the cops a lot. Now, I was at war with them for a few years because they fucked me over on my tray, and I was like, fuck, that was it, dude. For years, my whole life revolved around getting these fucking cops. They pepper sprayed me, everything else, you know? And during that time, I'm in my cell, and they would all come and they would stand over there, and they would get in a big circle and have a fucking meeting. And I would be in my cell, you know, waiting, because you got shampoo and baby oil by the door so they can slide when they come in. And if you got a weapon, you got it ready, you know? And because I would just, you know, fight them for the fucking fun of it, dude. And these motherfuckers, dude, they would have this meeting over there, and I would always be wondering, like, what the fuck are they saying in these meetings, dude? It drove me crazy, and I fought them so many times, man. It drove me nuts. Well, now, guess what, dude? I'm the motherfucker calling the shots in the goddamn circle. You know? So now it's like, okay, here this riot's happening and shit. We're gonna go over here, we all suit up like Ninja Turtles, just like in the prison, go over here and talk about this shit. Dude, fuck that. I hated it, didn't like it, don't want nothing to do with that, dude. I don't. So that was it for me, man. I quit working there and started working somewhere else, okay? Now, next place I start working at, I'm taking care of old people, mostly veterans and stuff like that, and I fucking love it, dude. And my boss, her name's a lady. She's like the nurse manager at the place and stuff. And you know, her and I, we like banter back and forth, but she's the boss, you know, and I don't really know her that good. But she like jokes with me a lot, and she's like, I said, I told her my name and shit and whatever, I'm Coco, da-da-da. She's like, well, scrutinizing me, you know, all the time. And I'm like, man, I almost quit that job because this chick was looking at me all the time, you know? And I thought, like, dude, if I felt like that anywhere, Mark, I would have just quit and leave because, you know, man, the thing is, I don't want no drama. You know, I ain't running from nobody because anything I feel like I've done in my life is honorable. So I almost quit this job, Mark, and because this lady was scrutinizing me and like, well, I didn't, man, and they had COVID a lot at this place, right? And they had people, you would volunteer to work in the COVID unit, man, and it's hard to do, bro, because you got to really suit up. People are dying in there. You got to suction their fucking, you know, all kinds of stuff you got to do, and it's hard work to watch people die. But I volunteered for the COVID wing because you work 12 hours, you know, and make like 55, 60 bucks an hour, you know? And so I volunteered and I worked that COVID wing for like a month and a half, dude, and made a lot of money. Well, at the end of it, I got sick with COVID. And then I got pneumonia, man. And dude, I was I was like 185, 190, dude. All I do is exercise. I go to the gym. I do martial arts. I fucking lift weights. And I got so sick. And I fucking lost 55 pounds in a month. And I was at my house, at my apartment. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't do anything. And like, I'm like slipping away. And then lady, my boss, she comes there one day and she's like, oh no, you know, dude, I went unconscious and shit, in and out of consciousness so much that I remember her talking to me in my apartment. And the next thing I remember, I was in their house, man. And it's like, I don't know if I lost time or what, but I was at their house and she's like, look, we're gonna take care of you, man. You know, like, just chill, you know, it's okay. So they fed me. She quit her fucking job, dude, literally. So she could, her and her husband renovated the basement. They renovated the basement, made a little apartment down there. I moved down there. Now they got 4 kids, okay? And one of them's a brand new baby at the time, just weeks old or something. And dude, it's like, or less than a year old, my bad. And it's like, oh, she's like, you just got to get better. Her husband cooks for me every day. And his name's, I call him Mr. White, best dude in the world. My best friend I've ever had, man, besides my brother, you know, best dude that I've ever been friends with. Him and Kevin are just two right there together, you know, as far as the people that I've had in my life that were so influential to me. And the thing about Lady's husband is he's just a regular dude. He works, he feeds his family, and he's all about it, dude. He's a hunter, he's an outdoorsman, but he lives a good, clean life, dude. And it's such a good example to me of how to be a man and how to provide for your family, how to go through crises, and how to do it with grace, and he makes it look easy, dude. And I ride around with him all the time, and we're best friends. And so I know that he has to do a lot of shit behind the scenes to make it work for a family of 7 people, you know, because I'm there too now. So it's like I got just the most respect for him and Lady. So, well, anyway, here I am at their house, fucking dying, dude. And they started feeding me, trying to get me back to life again and shit. And dude, I started acting crazy, like a fucking dementia patient. And like literally, I just did. I was wandering off, like literally, like I had dementia. And it was bad. And it was so fucking bad. We went to the doctor and got scans, and I found out that I have early onset Alzheimer's, man. I have holes in my brain, and they told me that I was gonna die. They said that I was gonna die, that they were like, dude, this is bad. You know, we don't know how much longer you're gonna make it, especially because you have COVID and pneumonia you're getting over. Lost 55 pounds in a month. And I'm like, God damn, man, I got early onset Alzheimer's. Ain't that a joke, you know, on me, man? Like, and so I'm like, I don't know what to do. Well, that's when her and her husband stepped in, and they were like, she was like, you know what? She's like, no, dude, because I don't have nobody out here, bro. It's just me. And she's like, no, dude, no. You don't have to go through this by yourself. She's like, no. She's like, we're fucking not gonna let that happen. So they're taking care of me. At this time, I'm getting a little better and stuff. And she's taking me a lot of doctor's appointments and stuff, but I'm still down in that bed a lot, dude, you know? And now I'm taking care of the baby and stuff a little bit so I can help out some, you know, it's anything I could do. And I start taking care of the baby and shit, you know, to take some ease off of her, you know? And it's cool.
When did you find this out?
This was in 21.
So it's been 4 years now.
It's been 4 years, yeah.
Has it progressed or?
Well, they didn't. So a little bit later on in the year, after a few more months, we went back and got another scan, and they changed my diagnosis to CTE rather than early onset Alzheimer's, and that's what central something encephalopathy. It's the hole in your brain that football players get.
Oh, I see.
And it's from being damaged in prisons for so much. I've been stabbed in the face. I've been hit in the fucking head so many times I can't even tell you, dude.
Yeah, because to tell this story for 2 hours, you're pretty sharp.
I just been damaged, yeah. But that being said, though, so yeah. So at first we thought, you know, that I had early onset Alzheimer's. I'm dying, and like it was that's another whole thing. We recorded my life story so that hopefully someday she would be able to tell all this stuff, you know? And like, there wasn't even nothing then. Like, so we did a lot of things. Anyway, I lived through it, man. And I got a little bit better, right? And she's like, fuck it. She could go to work at the school or whatever. She's got psych degrees. So she's like a behavioral specialist among a lot of other shit. She's like, you take care of the baby. You watch the kid, clean the house and shit. And dude, I was weak and shit. I was like, cool. So I did. For like the next year, I took care of the baby. I cleaned the house, did laundry. It's a lot of work, dude. I got mad respect for women. It's more, there's 4 kids there. Hey, but before all that, okay, so whenever I get a little better, then I have to tell her that, hey, you know, I'm a fucking convicted murderer. Like, and this is all the shit I've done, and this is who I am. Because she's got 4 kids in her house, man. So it's like, you know, what is she gonna say? Because I wouldn't fucking want me there. She didn't even know me, you know. She knew me for a while, and when I told her, it was like a thing. She left, and she went and talked to her husband, and it was just like, what are you gonna do? But she's like, judge me from what she's seen and not from what she knew, from what she heard. She's like, I'm gonna judge you. We judge you for what we know from you here, and she's like, you're fine. She's like, it's okay.
And you're still there.
Yeah, I am still there. So that year, she said, well, that year we figured out that I am like, I bonded to the baby. So I'm like the primary caregiver of the baby now. Her and her husband said, look, man, you know, because I got better and I could leave. I could move. I make money. You know, or at least I did. At the time, I worked quite a bit. But it's like, yeah, it's like, so I could leave and everything. But did I want to? Like, I mean, did I really want to? And at the time, man, I don't feel like I was doing okay out here, but I was so lost, dude. I have no idea how to do anything. I get scammed all the time on fucking emails, clicking this, that. Like, I don't know shit. I didn't know shit, dude. So I'm just like a baby out here, always running into shit, you know? And she looked out for me, man, her and her husband both. So the thing is, I could leave now if I wanted to. And she's like, look, you know, her and her husband are like, you know, you're like the primary caregiver of the baby. If you move, the baby doesn't want, it's gonna fuck the baby up. Like, you know, you don't have to move and whatnot. And like, you could be a third parent to this kid and this, you know, it's fine, you know, I'm like, I'm 20 years older than they are, at least, maybe more. So the kids call me Papa. You know, I like the fucking grandpa of the family and shit, you know. But the baby calls me Papa, and the baby is my baby, just so in case anybody wants to know. She'll tell you, the mom will tell you, the dad will tell you, everybody in that family will tell you that she's Papa's baby. I'm with her all day, every day. Like, I take care of her, I work, I do my thing, but she changed my life completely. I didn't even know if I would ever be able to feel love again at all, because I just stuffed so much bitterness and hatred in there and just done so much fucking dirty shit that I just fucking didn't know if I would have it in me, man. You know, and it turns out I did. But one day, when I was still sickly and stuff, lady came down and said, hey man, you know, you've been out for a day or two, so you're getting way better. But She's like, dude, she goes, you're gonna die in this bed. And she took me downstairs to the basement. Dude, her and her husband had made an art studio, a fucking tattoo studio. So nice, so badass. Just, I don't even know how they did it, but they did. And she's like, look, man, you gotta come down here and paint, dude. Like, you gotta get out of that bed and come down here and paint. You could tattoo, do whatever you wanna do. She's like, but you're gonna die in that bed. Like, you are. And I did. I came down, I started painting. I taught her how to paint. And then at the school where she works, we find out that they have like a mural thing that you might be able to do a mural. It's a mural competition or whatever. So me and her are like, fuck, I painted murals in prison, a lot of them. It was my plan when I came out here was to paint murals. I still would do it today. But there was a pride mural coming up to be painted, dude, okay? And it's a big deal in our town, you know? It was gonna be a big pride fest. This fucking mural is gonna be driven through town on the back of, in the parade and shit, and then put up at the park for the festival, and then they didn't know what they were gonna do with it after that. Well, she put in for it to do it. It turns out they came to us to do it. I designed it, me and her designed it. I'll say I designed most of it. Me and her designed it, and we did it, dude. And for the gay pride flag, I got every kid in the school to make fucking little people that they want to see represented, that they don't see her represented. It's an inclusivity mural is what it is. And so every kid in the school made their characters, and I put them in the red, I put them in the rainbow flag, each character, and I fucking, and then I went to the school and let every kid in the school paint on it, brought it home to our porch, put it on our front porch, and we painted it. It's like 15, 16 feet long, and it's the gay pride flag. Dude, listen, I painted the Black Lives Matter.
The fact that an Aryan Brotherhood shot caller is painting a gay pride.
And I painted the Black Lives Matter. I painted the autism awareness.
It's beautiful.
I'm very proud of these things, Mark.
It's beautiful.
It might get me killed someday, but I'm very proud of these things. I'm proud of the man that I've become. You know, I'm so, and you know, and whenever we did that mural and we put it up there, guess what we did with that mural? It was hard to do, bro. We went through a lot of drama because of that mural. We got it put in the school, bro, on the wall where our kids go. And they get to see it every fucking day. And they get to know that everybody's welcome here. Every fucking buddy can come here and feel safe. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want in this world. I want every kid that's coming through to feel like they're safe and loved and welcome, man.
Such a beautiful story, Coco. Let me ask you one last question. What would you say is the most important thing you've learned?
I knew that question was coming.
Yeah, you've watched it.
I knew it. No, I knew it. I've been ready for it, and I have the answer to it. Don't ever give up, man. Do not ever give up. Do not fucking, even when there's not even a crack of fucking light coming under that door, hold your breath and hold on, man. But don't give up. Dude, life without parole, shit. Dude, anything can happen. Don't never give up. And you know what it is? It doesn't matter where you're at in this world, Mark. Always better yourself. And always try to help everyone around you that you possibly can, because believe it or not, that is the best thing you can ever do for yourself, is to help everybody else, man. Trust me on that one. Trust me. It does you wonders, dude.
Beautiful story. Thank you, Coco. When I was designing the first Soft White Underbelly book, I realized that there were so many great portraits that weren't going to make it into that book. They just wouldn't fit. And once I saw how well that first book sold, I knew I'd have to design a second book. This second book is finally ready to ship. Like the first one, this book has a collection of some of the best portraits from Soft White Underbelly, accompanied by a quote from that person's interview. This book features another group of Rebecca portraits, as well as a collection of color images of the Whitaker family, and plenty of others. You can order yours for $125 or $150 for a signed copy at softwhiteunderbelly.org. Again, like the first book, once this book is sold out, I will not be printing more of them. The portraits are what Soft White Underbelly is all about, and these two books contain the best of all that work. Thank you for watching.